Prepping for food shortages. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. We're going to talk about this. A lot of stuff today about what's going on, what to do about it, how to set ourselves up for success, and a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned. First off, let's talk about what potential food shortages there are going to be. Vegetables are going to be more expensive and harder to get. But the big one is meat. It's part of the whole push for a meatless society. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to eat lab-grown meat. There's even lab-grown chicken now, from what I've heard. They just want us to eat what they want us to eat. Or what they want us to eat also are those meat substitutes. The vegetarian and the vegan meat substitutes like Beyond Meat and stuff like that. If that's what you want to eat, then great. God gave us free will for a reason. You eat what you want to eat. Me personally, I want to eat beef. I want to eat chicken. I want to eat turkey. Those are pretty much the only three meats that we eat in our family, but I enjoy them and I want to be able to eat them. So what can we do about it? Before I get into that though, please hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell for all, hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down, comment below. Let me know what you're seeing. Let me know how you're preparing for food shortages, because there's two sides to this. There is the stockpiling side and there's the production side. We're going to talk about both. First, let's talk about why there are shortages. There are shortages because of a lot of factors. Some of it is being, it's part of an agenda. So it's being made to happen for a reason, because there are certain people out there that want to have their agenda realized, like the meatless society. This is why big, rich, powerful people are buying farms, buying ranches, buying water rights, all this kind of stuff like that. A lot of them are buying ranches and then not ranching, so that there's less meat on the market, pushing us in the direction of the lab-grown meat, the bugs, the faux meat kind of things. So that's part of it. Another part of it is countries out there. A lot of countries, most countries around the world are suffering to some extent already. So a lot of countries out there aren't exporting as much food as normal because they're holding on to it for their own people. That's smart. We here in the United States, we are cutting production. We're having things affect us. Sorry about the airplane going by overhead. Yet we're still exporting lots of food, even though we're not producing any more than usual, maybe less than usual. So those are some factors that come into play. Regardless of the factors though, we know that we've seen increased food prices. That's going to continue to get worse. Things are going to get more expensive. So I don't see necessarily a food shortage as far as like no availability of food. What I see being more realistic is just people being priced out of certain foods. That's a big one. So from what I've heard on lately is that maybe like beef is down in price right now due to production, due to a lot hitting the market at once. But that will lead to shortages later on. So we need to be aware of that. But there are a lot of factors in play here. And I don't like just talking about what's going on and woe is us and all this stuff like that. So let's talk solutions. I'm a solution-based person. I like that. There's no reason just to talk about all the bad things. All right, so let's get into it. Solutions. Well, we as preppers, what do? We prep, because prepping is living insurance. It is a chance, it gives us that chance that our families will survive, that will survive. Now, it's not a given, because we don't know what's going to happen. We could be taken out by some bad guys. We could lose all of our stuff due to some kind of event, or whatever might happen. There's a lot of things. You guys can imagine all the different things that might possibly happen to us. So it's not a guarantee, of course not, but nothing's a guarantee. Prepping and stockpiling food and water is like having an emergency fund. We all know as responsible adults, you should have an emergency fund, right? So that whenever something happens, something needs repaired, something breaks down, it doesn't become an emergency. Because you just say, oh, okay, well here, we'll pull money out of the emergency fund, we'll pay to get it fixed. Thus, we just deal with it in a normal part of our lives. It doesn't become, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? This is an emergency, how do I pay for it? What do I do? Because we have an emergency fund. That's what food storage, water storage, all the preps, that's what that is. That's an emergency fund, not the primary income like we have coming in. And or it's also, you can maybe look at it as a long-term investment, also your food storage, because that's what it is. So with that said, let's get into the other side of things. Actually, I thought of something. Before we get into the other side of things, how much food should you have? How much food should you stockpile? Well, it depends, but I'm going to give you an answer here. Say 2 weeks. If you're just starting off, shoot for 2 weeks. That's kind of like the benchmark starting as a beginning prepper. Don't fear, you don't have to have 10 years of food. I know a lot of people are new and they want to know, how can I be prepared? How can I be better prepared? Well, having 2 weeks of food will set you on a much better level than the majority of Americans and probably people around the world. So 2 weeks. Then after you get 2 weeks, shoot for a month. After you get a month, shoot for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and more. But remember that stockpile of your food, water, supplies, all that kind of stuff is your emergency fund. The second you start opening up that first bucket of food, that first container of food, all those cans, whatever it is, you are only going to live for a certain period of time based off of how much food you have, unless you have other things, which is the other side of things I want to talk about, set in place. A lot of them, a lot of them are skill-based, unfortunately, for some people. Some people like just sitting there and ordering stuff and having it come in. And I use that term as Amazon preppers, but that's not necessarily a derogative term. I get it. It's way better off than not being a prepper at all. No problem there. Hey, at least those people are doing something. I'll give them props. That's very important. But skills are very important. So this other side has a lot to do with skills. Do you have the ability to go out into this stuff, into the woods, into nature, and forage for food? I can, just sitting where I'm at, I got Oregon grape, I got salal berries, I got salmon berries, I got black huckleberries, I got red huckleberries, I got blackberries, I got thimbleberries, and yeah, those are just the berries, not to mention all the other wild edibles in the area. You will probably have a lot of wild edibles in your area also that you can research, learn about, practice, and start gathering now. Add them to your food preps, your food storage. You can dehydrate them, you can freeze dry them, you can pickle them, you can can them, whatever you need to do. Get them in your food preps now. The other side of things is also hunting, fishing, trapping, and snaring. Kind of throw those into one category because it's getting your protein via natural methods. That may be good for a short-term solution. But if you live, unless you live in an extremely, extremely remote location, way back in the mountains away from everybody, and it'll take them a long time to get way up there, then the wild game will be gone fairly soon. Look at what happened in the Great Depression. How long did the deer herd? The deer herd was decimated. It almost went extinct during the Great Depression. So you got to think about that. So don't count on that for long term. But for short term, yes. Short term, yes, definitely. And then what you do is if that meat or that protein you procure via hunting, trapping, fishing, or snaring, you can pickle, you can salt, you can dehydrate, you can freeze dry, whatever your methods are. Or you can throw it in the freezer and hopefully you have some kind of backup power supply if the freezers go down because the grid goes down. It becomes a dark winter like I think is going to happen. So think about those things. Very important. But another side that's even easier for you to do and more long-term sustainable is this. Gardening, like you see behind me, some of my raised beds. That one is pretty much ready to go. Those little plants you see there are strawberry plants. They'll grow back again next year, but that raised bed is pretty much to bed. This raised bed has some garlic in it that will, I'll just leave it, let it go and it'll continue to go. This bed and this bed are all brand new beds for this past season, so I don't really need to amend them that much. But amending your soil is very important. And this is a bunch of carrots I still need to harvest. We've been sick a bunch and down quite a bit lately, so I haven't been able to put the whole garden to bed yet. We have 24 raised beds and 5 in-ground areas, and they're all on average between about 4'8" to 4'10" beds. So yeah, that's a good thing to have. The ability to produce your own calories year after year after year. Having your seeds, amending your soil, composting your own compost. I got a nice composter over there, and I turn it into the soil to create really good soil. Part of it also is I dehydrate or dry out our used eggshells, crumple them up, and then grind them into powder. Put that in the raised beds also for calcium. It's very important. There's a lot of things you can do. Also, raising your own animals. We currently do not raise animals. Yes, it's our weak spot, but we have tribe members that do. We have tribe members that have cows, chickens, turkeys, pheasants, ducks, sheep, goats, and then close neighbors. Our closest person to us has a bunch of chickens. Also, as well as a big garden, huge water storage, off-grid capability, a lot of good stuff. So yes, we have, and then other people around us also have chickens. A lot of people have chickens. We need to get into chickens. I get it. So the long-term sustainability to be able to survive through an event, a long-term event, really requires that you produce as much of your own inputs as possible, as much of your own food as possible. Because, like I said, once you open that first bucket of food storage, you're starting the stopwatch on your life. Well, combined with growing your own food, fruits, vegetables, raising your own animals, being able to forage, hunt, fish, trap, and snare, all those things combined and working together with tribe members, then you will be able to survive much longer, and you might be able to thrive, not just survive, in an SHTF scenario. So this is very important. I advocate all of you guys garden somewhat, even if it's just a bag that you grow potatoes in or something like that in your porch or on your veranda or inside your apartment under grow lights. Grow something. It's very, very vital. And if you have any extra, save the seeds, use heirloom, open pollinated organic seeds, and then collect your seeds year after year. Build that seed stockpile. Whenever you're getting pumpkins or squash or anything at the store that has seeds in it, save those seeds, sit them in little paper plates or baking sheets in your house, let them dry out, put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in the fridge. Bam, you're starting your seed storage for next year. Also, like I talked about, compost everything you possibly can. But anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. Have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.